I'm CK. Today we've got a multi-kit box from eLearnTronics. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and an Arduino board, 5 boards and an Arduino board in it. This cost $79 US on Amazon about a week and a half ago. I can't verify the prices any further. So we'll take a look and see what's in the box, and we'll probably do one of the kits today and do the rest in future videos. And I hope you enjoy this video. Here's the box. Electronics learning boards, 5-pack of boards plus Nano. And I guess the Nano is for Arduino. As you know, if you've watched my channel much, I don't do Arduino or Raspberry Pi or those other things. I'll explain why sometime, but for now, we'll just dive into this. And eLearnTronics 5-set boards, Arduino practice soldering, learn electronics, multiplexer, resistance, capacitance, series versus parallel, logic gates. New item. Open it on up. And here it looks like the Arduino board. I'm not going to do anything with that. Oh, and each one is in a little plastic paper pouch, which is nice. So we'll get all the pouches out and get the box ready for recycling. This is a multiplexer, resistance learning board, series versus parallel learning board, logic gates learning board, and capacitance learning board. Well, again, we'll get all of these done, but today we're just going to do one of them. And I'm going to look at the capacitance learning board because I've seen the others before, that similar kits. I haven't seen a capacitance learning board, and that's of course a good thing to learn. Okay, circuit board. Okay, nothing else in there. This is recyclable, of course, which is good. So the instructions are going to, and free lessons, which is nice. We'll check that out. And then a resistor color code chart on the back of the little card. That's always nice. Capacitance. Select capacitors to charge. Press button to charge capacitors. Notice how long the light stays lit. Okay, so it's going to teach you how a 100 microfarad, 470 microfarad, and 1000 microfarad cap responds. And looks like a LED goes here, and power goes here, and dip switches to select which ones you're charging. And that looks like a little push button that you'd instantiate it with. And a 470 ohm resistor, which is probably the drain resistor. Let me see where it's coming from. It's coming from, I'm sorry, discharge resistor. It's coming from the LED and the caps. Okay, that's nice. A battery snap cap, or you can plug it into power. I mean, that's how it plugs into the board, sorry. Here's the 470 cap. Here's a little tactile on-off switch. Here's the big 1000 microfarad, yep. And this should be the 100 microfarad. They're all 35 volt caps, which is nice. They didn't have to do 35 volts on these. They could have done 25 or whatever and still been fine. Here's the resistor. Here's some little brass spacers, which will go in the corners as a stand for this thing, and the screws that it works with. And here is the dip switch. I guess you can probably charge all three at once. And here's a little LED that will watch glow and dissipate. And I'll take my little LED buddy and we'll light it up, see what it looks like. Yep, if I can get my fingers in there so you can actually see it on the overhead camera. Nice little green LED, not great, but okay. 2 volts, and it says 2K2 ohm inrush resistor. Huh, oh, well, I've got this dialed up to 14 volts. I don't want that. Oh, I'll figure that out later. So that's all the bits and pieces. As you can see, it's very simple. So we will heat up the soldering iron and get the thing put together and see how we can watch what different value capacitors do. I went to the eLearnTronics website and looked up the instructions for this, and it's 2 YouTube videos. And who watches YouTube videos? So I'm just going to put it together without that. So we'll do the typical placements. We'll do the resistor first, even though I'm not going to solder it right this second. Then I think I'll put the LED on it first. Now you'll notice here there's a flat spot there showing you where the negative lead, where the flat side of the resistor goes, the cathode side, or else it won't light up and you'll be sad. And I think I'll put the tactile switch in. These are rectangular but not square, so it is difficult to put them in wrong. I guess you probably could if you were going to force it, and when I was 7 or 8 I would probably have tried to force it if I got it wrong, because I got frustrated with model airplanes. And I think I'll put the dip switches on now too. And we want the up going up, of course. Up meaning towards the capacitors. Now I'll solder these fellas. Now for the LED, I want to make sure it's very flat on the board, so I soldered one of the leads. And it's pretty much flat, but I want to make sure, so I push on it with my thumb and reheat that part I soldered already. And it didn't move, so it's already flat, which is good, but didn't hurt to check at all. I'll trim these leads. Now I'm going to put the power connector on. It's keyed, it can only go on one way. I'll use some thicker solder for these, because you don't want to be stingy on solder for things like power, oops, and I lifted up too soon, so that did raise up, so I will once again reheat it and push to get it all flat. Still not all flat. So again, you don't want to be stingy with solder here, because if you use this, you'll be pulling the power connector in and out periodically, and you want to have a good solid mechanical connection there. Now we'll put the caps in, and they're going to go in like this with the shaded side going there. I think if it doesn't work, we'll swap them around. There are some square and round pegs, but I get confused because there's no real standard for that. So I never know whether the square is positive or negative. People can kind of haphazardly lay out their boards. Now we'll put the feet on. Take one of these little hex head screws, and I'm not going to use a tool to tighten these up. I'm just going to snug them down with my fingers, because there's not a lot of mechanical stress on this, and I don't think I'm going to use it ever again after I do this. So I don't have to worry about them being super tight. In fact, I may just harvest these screws and these brass spacers and put them in my stockpile. Okay, so that's it. We'll take one of my, I brought over one of my rechargeable 9-volt batteries. Now we will plug it in. Nothing blew up. Hit that, and as you can see, because there are no capacitors engaged, the light goes immediately off. Let's turn the 100 microfarad on. I'm going to let it charge up. Oh, I didn't have it all the way engaged. Let it charge up. Can't really tell whether it's charged. And I think I did get these LEDs backwards, the capacitors backwards, because it's not doing what we expect. So I'm going to pause the cameras briefly, and then to get my desoldering tool heated up, and we'll switch the capacitor sizes. So this is my current favorite desoldering tool. I've got a video on my channel when I got it and opened it up and first played with it. I like it quite a bit. So I'm going to put it on there, rotate it around. I clipped that pretty short. And that sucked out that solder. Okay, that got everything out. Took a little bit longer than it usually does, but I don't know why that was. And again, the key thing about this one, little button, it allows you to apply vacuum or negative pressure without having to do it with your thumb and then resetting the plunger with your thumb, which is very nice. So now we'll put these back in their correct way, or what I think is the correct way. I may have to straighten the leads out some. Now, that went on. I'm going to do each one of these individually since the leads got clipped short. Okay, let's try this again. I think they're in the right direction now. And we'll go to 1 microfarad, press the button. Make sure we charge it all the way up. Well, you may have seen it, it was fading out slowly. It's taking a bit to charge. Now we got the 470 in series with it. Or parallel, I think. There it goes. See the light? Let me turn this light off. I'm going to count to 10. And then you see it faded out slowly. I'm going to count to 20 this time. I'll speed these counts up. And there it fades out pretty quickly. I'm going to take the 1000 micro in, and I'm going to count to 30 on this one. And there, look at that. That took quite a while to fade out. Now I'm going to do one other thing. I'm just going to take my clamp and press that button, and I'm going to walk away for a little bit, do something else. Oops, and it slipped. Walk away and do something else while that charges all the way up. Okay, that's been a little while. Let's watch it fade away. Still faded away pretty quickly. Let's take these big ones back out and do just the 100 microfarad. And as you can see, that goes away pretty quickly. So again, we'd learn about what a capacitor does. Stores energy to feed to this LED later. And it's very useful for smoothing current, for providing a little backup power for integrated circuits and all kinds of things, as well as doing filtering for radio signals and other RF type signals. So that's it. That's the first of these little kits. It's a fine one, and it does teach you about capacitance, and you got to watch me do a little rework because I got it backwards, which had I looked at their YouTube videos, I probably would not have gotten backwards, but we live and learn, and we got it to work anyway. And I hope you enjoyed the video.